Hi, greetings. This is Sieg with Leadership Quality number 8. We've been in a series together here, focusing in on different leadership qualities. And this one is about grace under pressure. Grace under pressure and how not to lose your cool. All right, so this is the Renegade blog. And like I said, we've gone through 7 of our different leadership qualities. So this is number 8, grace under pressure, how not to lose your cool. Well, the reason I chose this topic is because, business can be sort of like being under a high pressure cooker, especially when you're the CEO. And I am the CEO of my company called 80/20 Marketing. So I'm just reflecting off of an experience I just went through last night at the time of this recording, and that is that we had one of our promotional webinars where we provide high value content, and then we refer people here into the daily marketing coach community. So last night we were featuring training on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional networking site platform. And so I have a gentleman that I've been working with very closely for the last few weeks. His name is Dave Drimmy, and he's in Perth, Scotland. And so we've been working hand in glove, helping to prep his PowerPoints and going through the content together, and it's been a lot of fun. Well, we had done just a quick rehearsal because he was new to the GoToWebinar format. And that day, so this would have been yesterday, we did that about 5 o'clock. So we had kind of a run through, a dry run, and had him get used to the GoToWebinar functions. And then it was the big show at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard, which was 1 o'clock in the morning for him. So big thank you to Dave for graciously staying up through the night, basically, to provide this training for me and my community. But here's what happened. We ran into technology problems, and probably at a level that we've never experienced before. And I have done hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of webinars through the years. I mean, it's just like I could do them in my sleep. We've done so many of them. This one, we had about 2,500 people registered. So, you know, it's game on, and here we are. And there were technology problems. Now, I do have to admit, I do adhere to John Maxwell's admonition about superior preparation always wins. That's my nature. I go in with being as prepared as I possibly can to avoid glitches. And on the whole, we do very, very, very well, exceptionally well. That being me and my team. That's kind of one of the bedrock principles of my team, my corporate staff, is we're very prepared. We're very planned, we're very conscientious, we're very thorough, we check and adjust, how can we do better, etc. But then we ran into problems. And so you have to be adept. You have to know how to handle that gracefully and not get all flustered, and you know, the worst would be bad form, having anger and showing impatience and this whole type of thing. And while it was a bit frustrating, I was like, well, I felt cool and calm and collected throughout, and it was just a matter of how are we going to resolve this thing. Well, good thing, thankfully for me, I always do have a number of recorders on my team, especially for these big webinars, these promotional webinars, because we then send out the link to the recording the following day. So I don't leave it up to chance to have just one person record. All told, I had 3 recorders. Well, so my webmaster is typically there to record, and I called on him. I hope you're in the wing if you can hear me, Justin, because he's very good at technology and able to help figure things out. So he stepped in, and he basically pulled Dave off to the side to help him with his technology. He said, Ann, you take over on your screen, which I did. And we pretty much moved on without skipping a beat, other than those first initial minutes of just, you know, okay, how do we solve this problem? Is it the headset? You know, a feedback loop to the speakers, just all that kind of fun stuff. But just that we got right back on the track pretty darn quickly. But better than that was then my webmaster went through and edited out kind of the messy parts of that webinar. But you know what? These kind of things happen. And it's that state of preparedness, how to handle those as best you possibly can, but definitely to do that with grace and professionalism, because, and I felt so bad for our presenter, Dave, because he had worked so hard at putting together this material. So I felt so bad for him, and sure enough, he had emailed me right afterwards expressing, his sadness and disappointment that he couldn't have delivered a better performance. But it was technology. It got in the way. And we think it had to do with the fact that he is in Scotland, I'm here in the States, and we think it was something due to that. In any case, but then he sent me this email and just said, the subject line was something like, "Thanks for your professionalism, you handled it with grace," or something like this. And it's like, that's what leaders do. That's what professionals do. That's what they're expected and required to do. So I'm going to share with you one more quick story to illustrate how I was able to condition myself with this mindset. I look at it as, what am I here for? What's the objective? And you should always look at it in a bigger context instead of just in that little finite moment. I was looking at a bigger picture. There's so much more at stake going on, and that being your reputation. So I was a business athletic coach for 15 years, and I taught in the gym for many years, and that was while raising my children. And I remember one specific time, it was very stressful. My eldest son was very sick at the time. I'd had to take him down to the doctor's office, and we were just figuring out he had asthma. And we were doing the nebulizer and all that horrible stuff related to asthma and allergies, and he was having a lot of difficulty breathing. So it was very stressful. And there, I need to go to work, right? And so that was tough, and I was stressed. But I always conditioned myself when I walked into that gym. I was being paid to do a very specific job. Those parents had paid me good money for me to train and coach their children. So as soon as I stepped foot into that gym, I was in a state of being 100% focused on my students. And whatever those other cares were, I would just simply have to delegate and offset them. And that was at that stressful time when my son was really sick. And I had three boys at that time, when that event happened. But that was my duty, my obligation as a coach, is I had to deliver the goods and teach and instruct these children. And I absolutely loved that work that I did. I loved it with a passion. I only quit because it just, after a while, my body couldn't take it anymore. But it was always to give them my absolute best. And for me to have that satisfaction of a job well done. Well, that's too, in this webinar, people are engaging you. You're always on a stage, and they're watching how you perform. And they especially watch how you perform under pressure. That's when people are really watching. How's she going to handle it? Is she going to cave in? Is she going to get mad? This, that, and the other thing. So this is something you, as a leader, need to be very aware of. Now, the second part of that is you have to be willing to put yourself in areas where there is the potential where things may not go perfect, because those are just tests of your capabilities. So you have to be willing to step into that space and then deal with it when things don't go right or well for you. So again, leadership quality number 8 is to learn how to handle yourself with grace and not lose your control, not cave in, okay? So grace under pressure. Perhaps share with me down below a comment about how you were at one time able to handle a situation with grace. And you didn't cave, you didn't collapse, and you maintained your composure and your professionalism. Because when on stage, your reputation is always on the line. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this leadership quality number 8. Go ahead and share a comment with me, and I will see you in my next video with leadership quality number 9.